Knowledge may be acquired from knowledge. This is streaming on YouTube.
Yes, for recording purpose, to keep us recording.
Achha. Knowledge may be acquired from any of the foregoing sources. It may be converted into power by organizing it into definite plans and by expressing those plans in terms of action. Examination of the three major sources of knowledge will readily disclose the difficulty an individual would have if he depended upon his efforts alone in assembling knowledge and expressing it through definite plans in terms of action. If his plans are comprehensive and if they contemplate large proportions, he must generally induce others to cooperate with him before he can inject into them the necessary element of power. Gaining power through the mastermind. The mastermind may be defined as coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. No individual may have great power without availing himself of the mastermind. In a preceding chapter, instructions were given for the creation of plans for the purpose of translating desire into its monetary equivalent. If you carry out these instructions with persistence and intelligence, you use discrimination in the selection of your mastermind group. Your objective will have been halfway reached even before you begin to recognize it. So you may better understand the intangible potentialities of power available to you through a properly chosen mastermind group. We will here explain the two characteristics of the mastermind principle, one of which is economic in nature and the other psychic. The economic feature is obvious. Economic advantages may be created by any person who surrounds himself with the advice, counsel, and personal cooperation of a group of men who are willing to lend him wholehearted aid in a spirit of perfect harmony. This form of cooperative alliance has been the basis of nearly every great fortune. Your understanding of this great truth may definitely determine your financial status. The psychic phase of the mastermind principle is much more abstract, much more difficult to comprehend because it has reference to the spiritual forces with which human race as a whole is not well acquainted. You may catch a significant suggestion from this statement. No two minds ever come together without thereby creating a third invisible, intangible force which may be likened to a third mind. Keep in mind the fact that there are only two known elements in the whole universe, energy and matter. It is a well-known fact that matter may be broken down into units of molecules, atoms, and electrons. There are units of matters which may be isolated, separated, and analyzed. Pass.
Likewise, there are units of energy. The human mind is form of energy, a part of it being spiritual in nature. When the minds of two people are coordinated in a spirit of harmony, the spiritual units of energy of each mind form an affinity which constitutes the psychic phase of the mastermind. The mastermind principle, or rather the economic feature of it, was first called to my attention by Andrew Carnegie. Over 25 years ago, discovery of this principle was responsible for the choice of my life's work. Mr. Carnegie's mastermind group consisted of a staff approximately 50 men with whom he surrounded himself for the definite purpose of manufacturing and marketing steel. He attributed his entire fortune to the power he accumulated to this mastermind. Analyze the record of any man who has accumulated a great fortune and many of those who have accumulated modest fortunes, and you will find that they have either consciously or unconsciously employed the mastermind principle. Great power can accumulate through no other principle. Energy is a nature's universal set of the building blocks out of which she constructs every material thing in the universe, including man and every form of animal and vegetable life. Through a process which only nature complete understands, she translates energy into matter. Nature's building blocks are available to man in the energy involved in thinking. Man's brain may be compared to an electric battery. It absorbs energy from the ether, which permeates every atom of matter and fills the entire universe. It is a well-known fact that a group of electric batteries will provide more energy than a single battery. It is also a well-known fact that an individual battery will provide energy in proportion to the number and capacity of cells it contains. The brain functions in a similar fashion. This accounts for the fact that some brains are more efficient than others and leads to this significant statement: a group of brains coordinated or connected in a spirit of harmony will provide more thought energy than a single brain, just as a group of electric batteries will provide more energy than a single battery. Pass.
Through this metaphor, it becomes immediately obvious that the mastermind principle holds the secret of the power wielded by man who surround themselves with other men of brains. There follows now another statement which will lead still nearer to an understanding of the psychic face of the mastermind principle. When a group of individual brains are coordinated and functions in harmony, the increased energy created through that alliance becomes available to every individual brain in the group. It is well known fact that Henry Ford began his business career under the handicap of poverty, illiteracy, and ignorance. It is an equally well known fact that within the convincingly short period of 10 years, Mr. Ford mastered these three handicaps, and that within 25 years, he made himself one of the richest men in America. Connect with this fact. The additional knowledge that Mr. Ford most rapid strides became noticeable from the time he became a personal friend of Thomas A. Edison, and you will begin to understand what the influence of one mind upon another can accomplish. Go a step further and consider the fact that Mr. Ford's most outstanding achievements began from the time that he formed the acquaintance of Harvey and Luther Burbank, each of man of great brain capacity, and you will have a further evidence that the power may be produced through friendly alliance of minds. There is little, if any, doubt that Henry Ford is one of the best informed men in the business and industrial world. The question of his well need no discussion. Analyze Mr. Ford's intimate personal friends, some of them who have already been mentioned, and you will be prepared to understand the following statement. Men take on the nature and the habit and the power of thought of those with whom they associate in a spirit of sympathy and harmony. Henry Ford whipped poverty, literacy, and ignorance by allying himself with great minds whose vibrations of thought he absorbed into his own mind. Through his association with Edison, Burkman, Browse, and Firestone, Mr. Ford added his own brain power, the sum and the substance of the intelligence, experience, knowledge, and spiritual forces of these four men. Moreover, he appreciated and made use of the mastermind principle through the methods of procedure described in this book. This principle is available to you. We have already mentioned Mahatma Gandhi. Perhaps the majority of those who have heard of Gandhi look upon him as merely an eccentric little man who goes around without formal wearing apparel and makes trouble for the British government. In reality, Gandhiji is not eccentric, but he is the most powerful man now living. Pass.
Estimated by the number of his followers and being the leader. Moreover, he is probably the most powerful man who has ever lived. His power is passive, but it is real. Let us say method by which he attained his power. It may be explained in a few words. He came by power to including over 200 million people to coordinate with mind and body in a spirit of harmony and for efficient purpose. In Gandhi's accomplished when 200 million people can be induced, not forced to cooperate in spite of harmony for a limitless time. If you doubt that this is a miracle, try to induce any two people to cooperate in a spirit money for any length of time. Every man who manages a business knows the difficult matter it is to
it is present today.
Madam.
Ma'am, we are not able to hear your voice properly. Your voice is breaking.
Now?
We are not able to hear.
Now?
No, still we are not able to hear.
I think wait. I'm sending an internet connection. Let us study. Now, are you able to hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes.
Yes. Continue. ma'am.
Okay. Let us study the method by which attained his supernatural power. It may be explained in a few words. He came by power through including 200 million people to cooperate with mind body in a spirit of harmony for a definite purpose. In brief, Gandhi has accomplished a miracle, for it is a miracle when 200 million people can be induced, not forced, to cooperate in a spirit of harmony. For a limitless time. If you doubt that this is a miracle, try to induce any two people to cooperate in a spirit of harmony for any length of time. Every man who manages a business knows what a difficult matter it is to get employed to work together in a spirit of even remotely reassembling harmony. The list of the chief sources from which power may be attained is, as you have seen, headed by infinite intelligence. When two or more people coordinate in spirit of harmony and work towards a definite objective, they place themselves in position through that alliance to absorb power directly from the greater universal storehouse of infinite intelligence. This is the greatest of all source of power. This is source to which the genius turn. It is a source to which every great leader turn, whether he may be conscious of the fact or not. The two major sources which the knowledge necessary for the accumulation of power may be obtained are no more reliable than five senses of man. The senses are not always reliable. Infinite intelligence does not err. In subsequent chapter, the method by which infinite intelligence may be most readily contact will be adequately described. This is not a course of religion, not fundamental principle described in this book should be interpreted as being interpreted to interfere either directly or indirectly with many religious habit. This book has been confined exclusively to instruction the reader how to transmute the definite purpose of desire for money into its monetary equivalent. Read, think, and meditate as you read. Soon the entire subject will unfold and you will see it is perspective. You are now seeing the detail of the individual chapter. Pass.
Money is as shy and elusive as the old-time maiden. It must be wooed and won by methods not unlike those used by a determined lover in pursuit of the girl of his choice. And coincidental as it is, the power used in the wooing of money is not greatly different from that used in wooing a maiden. That power, when successfully used in the pursuit of money, must be mixed with faith. It must be mixed with desire. It must be mixed with persistence. It must be applied through a plan, and that plan must be set into action. When money comes in quantities known as the big money, it flows to the one who accumulates it as easily as water flows down hills. There exists a great unseen stream of power which may be compared to the river, except that one side flows in one direction, carrying all who get into that side of the stream onward and upward of wealth, and the other side flows in the opposite direction, carrying all who are unfortunate enough to get into it and not able to extricate themselves from it, downwards to misery and poverty. Every man who has accumulated a great fortune has recognized the existence of this stream of life. It consists of one's thinking process. The positive emotion of thoughts form the side of the stream which carry one to fortune. The negative emotions form the side which carries one down to poverty. This carries a thought of stupendous importance to the person who is following this book with the object of accumulating a fortune. If you are in the side of the stream of power which leads to poverty, this may serve as an oar by which you may propel yourself over into the other side of the stream. It can serve you only through application and use. Merely reading and passing judgment on it, either one may or another, will in no way benefit you. Some people undergo the experience of alternating between the positive and negative sides of the stream, being at time on the positive side and at time on the negative side. The Wall Street crash of 29 swept millions of people from the positive to the negative side of the stream. These millions are struggling, some of them in desperation and fear, to get back to the positive side of the stream. This book was written especially for those millions. Poverty and rich often change places. The crash taught the world this truth, although the world will not long remember the lesson. Poverty may and generally does voluntarily take the place of rich. When rich take the place of poverty, the change is usually brought about through conceived and carefully executed plans. Poverty needs no plan. It needs no one to aid it because it is bold and ruthless. Riches are shy and timid. They have to be attracted. Anybody can wish for rich, and most people do, but only if you know that a definite plan plus a burning desire for wealth are the only dependable means of accumulating wealth. Pass.
Uh, Now chapter 13, right? The brain.
Yes.
Okay. Chapter 13, the brain, a broadcasting and receiving station for thought. The 12th step towards riches. More than 20 years ago, the author, working in conjunction with the late Dr. Alexander Graham Bell and Dr. Elmer R. Gates, observed that every human brain is both a receiving station for the vibration of thought. Through the medium of ether, in a fashion similar to that employed by the radio broadcasting principle, every human brain is capable of picking up vibrations of thoughts which are being released by other brains. In connection with the statement of the preceding paragraph, compare and consider the description of the creative imagination as outlined in the chapter on imagination. The creative imagination is the receiving set of the brain, which receives thoughts released by the brains of others. It is the agency of communication between one's conscious or reasoning mind and the four sources from which one may receive through stimuli. When stimulated or stepped up to a high rate of vibration, the mind becomes more receptive to vibration of thought, which reaches it through the ether from outside sources. This stepping up process takes people through the positive emotions or the negative emotions. Through the emotions, the vibration of thought may be increased. Vibrations of an exceedingly high rate are the only vibrations picked up and carried by the ether from one brain to another. Thought is energy traveling at an exceeding high rate of vibration through, thought which has been modified or stepped up by any of the major emotions. Vibration vibrates at a much higher rate than ordinary thought, and it is this type of thought which passes from one brain to another through the broadcasting machinery of the human brain. The emotion of sex stands at the head of list of human emotions as far as intensity and driving force are concerned. The brain, which has been stimulated by the emotion of sex, vibrates at a much more rapid rate than it does when that emotion is quiescent or absent. Pass.
Ashok sir?
Yes, ma'am. The result of sex transmutation is an increase of the rate of vibration of thoughts to such a pitch that the creative imagination becomes highly receptive to ideas which it picks up from the ether. On the other hand, when the brain is vibrating at a rapid rate, it not only attracts thoughts and ideas released by other brains through the medium of the ether, but it gives one's own thought the feeling which is essential before those thoughts will pick up and act upon by one's subconscious mind. Thus, you will see that the broadcasting principle is the factor through which you mix feelings or the emotions with your thoughts and pass them on to your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the sending station of the brain through which the vibration of thoughts are broadcasted. The creative imagination is the receiving station through which the vibration of thoughts are picked up from the ether. Along with the important factors of the subconscious mind and the faculty of the creative imagination, which constitute the sending and the receiving sets of your mental broadcasting machinery, consider now that the principle of autosuggestion, which is a medium by which you may put into operation your broadcasting station, through the instruction described in the chapter on autosuggestion, you will definitely be informed that the method which you desires may be transmuted into the monetary equivalent. Operation of your mental broadcasting station is comparatively simple procedure. You have but three principles to bear in mind and to apply when to wish to use the broadcasting station: the subconscious mind, the creative imagination, and the autosuggestion. The stimuli through which you put these three principles into action have been described, the procedure beginning with the desire. The greatest force are intangible. The depression brought the world to the very borderline of understanding of the force which are intangible and unseen. Through the ages which pass, man has depended too much upon the physical senses and has limited his knowledge to the physical things which he could see, touch, weigh, and measure. We are now entering the most marvelous of ages, and age which teach us something of intangible forces of the world about us. Perhaps we shall learn as we pass through the ages that the other self is more powerful than the physical self we see when we look into the mirror.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Sometimes men speak lightly of the intangibles, the things which they cannot perceive through any of their five senses, and when we hear them, it should remind us that all of us are controlled by forces which are unseen and intangible. The whole of mankind has not the power to cope with, nor to control the intangible force wrapped up in the rolling waves of the oceans. Man has not the capacity to understand the intangible force of gravity, which keeps this little earth suspended in mid-air and keeps man from falling from it, much less the power to control that force. Man is entirely subservient to the intangible force which comes with a thunderstorm, and he is just as helpless in the presence of the intangible force of electricity. Nay, he does not even know what electricity is, where it comes from, or what is its purpose. Nor is this by any means the end of man's ignorance in connection with things unseen and intangible. He does not understand the intangible force and intelligence wrapped up in the soil of the earth, the force which provides him with every morsel of food he eats, every article of clothing he wears, every dollar he carries in his pocket. The dramatic story of the brain. Last but not the least, man, with all of his boasted culture and education, understands little or nothing of the intangible force, the greatest of all the intangibles of thought. He knows but little concerning the physical brain and its vast network of intricate machinery through which the power of thought is translated into its material equivalent. But he is now entering an age which shall yield enlightenment on the subject. Already men of science have begun to turn their attention to the study of this stupendous thing called a brain, and while they are still in the kindergarten stage of their studies, they have uncovered enough knowledge to know that the central switchboard of the human brain, the number of lines which connect the brain cells one with another, equal the figure 1, followed by 15 million ciphers. The figure is so stupendous, said Dr. C. Judson Herrick of the University of Chicago that astronomical figures dealing with hundreds of millions of light years became insignificant by comparison. Pass.
Has been determined that there are from
1 billion है वो शायद.
Jashwant sir has come in case he wants to read.
100,000, 10,000 lakh,
1
10
billion
lakh,
and 14 billion.
10 lakh, crores, 100 crores, 10 crores, 10 crores to 14 crores never cells in the human cerebral cortex, and we know that these are arranged in definite patterns. These arrangements are not haphazard. They are orderly recently developed methods of electrophysiology draw of action currents from very precisely located cells or fibers with microelectrodes, amplify them with radio tubes, and record potential differences to a millionth of a volt. It is inconceivable that such a network of intricate machinery should be in existence for the sole purpose of carrying on the physical functions incidental to growth and maintenance of the physical body. It is not likely that the same system, which gives billions of brain cells the media for communication one with another, provides also the means of communication with other intangible forces. After this book had been written, just before the manuscript went to the publisher, there appeared in the New York Times an editorial showing that at least one great university and one intelligent investigator in the field of mental phenomena are carrying on a organized research through which conclusions have been reached that parallel many of those described in this and the following chapter. The editorial briefly analyzed the work carried on by Dr. Ryan and his associates at Duke University with what is telepathy. A month ago, we cited on this page some of the remarkable results achieved by Professor Ryan and his associates in Duke University from more than 100,000 tests to determine the existence of telepathy and clairvoyance. These results were summarized in the first two articles in Harper's Magazine. The second, which has now appeared, the other E.H. Wright attempts to summarize what has been learned or what it seems reasonable to infer regarding the exact nature of these extrasensory modes of perception. The actual existence of telepathy and clairvoyance now seems to some scientists enormously probable as the result of Ryan's experiments. Various participants were asked to name as many cards in a special pack as they could without looking at them and without other sensory access to them. About a score of men and women were discovered who could regularly name so many of the cards correctly that there was not one chance in many a million of their having done their feats by luck or accident. But how did they do them? These powers, assuming that they exist, do not seem to be sensory. There is no known organ for them. The experiments work just as well as distances of several hundred miles as they did in the same way. These facts also dispose, in Mr. Wright's opinion, of the attempt of explain telepathy or clairvoyance through any physical theory of radiation, all known forms of radiant energy decline inversely as the square of the distance traversed. Telepathy and clairvoyance do not, but they do vary through physical causes as our other mental powers do. Pass.
Jashwandi, would you like to read, sir? Jaswant, sir.
मैडम कनेक्टिविटी का अभी भी इशू चल रहा है. मैं दो अलग अलग इंस्ट्रूमेंट से कनेक्ट कर रहा हूँ बार बार.
Okay, no
तो
problem,
बीच में
sir.
चला जाएगा.
Okay, fine. It's okay. All known forms of radiant energy decline inversely as the square of the distance traversed. Telepathy and clairvoyance do not, but they do vary through physical causes as our other mental powers do. Contrary to widespread opinion, they do not improve when the percipient is asleep or half asleep, but on the contrary, when he is most wide awake and alert. Ryan discovered that a narcotic will invariably lower a percipient score, while a stimulant will always send it higher. The most reliable performer apparently cannot make a good score unless he tries to do his best. One conclusion that Wright draws with some confidence is that telepathy and the clairvoyance are really one and the same gift. That is, the faculty that sees a card face down on a table seems to be exactly the same one that reads a thought residing only in another mind. There are several grounds for believing this. So far, for example, the two gifts have been found in every person who enjoys either of them. In everyone so far, that the two have been of equal vigor, almost exactly. Screens, walls, distance have no effect at all on either. Wright advances from his conclusion to express what he put forward has no more than the mere hunch that other extrasensory experiences, prophetic dreams, premonitions of disasters, and the like may also prove to be a part of the same faculty. The reader is not asked to accept any of these conclusions unless he finds it necessary. But the evidence that Ryan has piled up must remain impressive. In view of Dr. Ryan's announcement in connection with the condition under which the mind responds to what he terms extrasensory modes of perception, I now feel privileged to add to his testimony by stating that my associates and I had discovered what he believes to be the ideal condition under which the mind can be stimulated so that the sixth sense described in the next chapter can be made to the function in a particular way. The conditions to which I refer consist of a close working alliance between myself and the two members of my staff. Through experimentation and practice, we have discovered how to stimulate our mind by applying the principle used in the connection with the invisible counselors described in the next chapter, so that we can, by process of blending our three minds into one, find a solution to the great variety of personal problems which are submitted by my clients. The procedure is very simple. We sit down at a conference table, clearly state the nature of the problems we have under consideration, then begin discussing it. Each contributes whatever thoughts they may occur. The strange thing about this method of mind stimulation is that it places each participant in communication with unknown sources of knowledge, definitely outside his own experience. Pass.
Bornali ji. Gunjan, you would like to finish with
Hello?
this half? Yes.
Yeah, ma'am. Page number
192.
If you understand the principle described in the chapter of mastermind, you of course recognize the roundtable procedure here described as being practical application of mastermind. This method of mind stimulation through harmonious discussion of definite subject between three people illustrate the simple and most practical use of the mastermind. By adopting the following a simple plan, any student of this philosophy may come into possession of the famous Carnegie formula briefly described in the introduction. If it means nothing to you at this time, mark this page and read it again after you have finished the last chapter. The description was a blessing in disguise. It reduced the whole world to a new starting point that gives everyone a new opportunity. I can finish. Finish.
Thank you, Monali-ji. That was nice ending.
Thank you.
Ashok, sir, you can read the money
Declaration.
Yes, sir.
Should I? Oh, lovely.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Think and grow rich. Declaration. I like money. I love it. I play money game to win. I use money wisely, constructively, and judiciously. Money is constantly circulating in my life. I release it with joy, and it returns to me multiplied in a wonderful way. I believe money is important. Money makes life more enjoyable, and money is freedom. Money flows to me in avalanches of abundance. I get rich doing what I love. I use money for good only, and I'm grateful for all the money I have now. I am financially free because I now know how to truly think and grow rich. Thank you so much, Dipti ji. Thank you.
So it was your turn. You need not say thank you to me.
I mean, I was so happy to see my name on that list on the WhatsApp group because
No, I don't know how 2 days in between it was missing. I don't know. Otherwise, your name was already added when you had joined on the very first day when you joined. I had already added your name there.
So nice of you. So nice of you.
Even we are
So
happy.
we are blessed that you come
Yes,
over
yes.
here and read with us.
The thing is, my Victory Mastermind book reading starts from 9 o'clock to 9:45. So we just wind up with affirmations and all that thing. So thoda late ho jata hai. So anytime I can join after 9:45 ke baad mein.
So you are going extra mile and joining this reading club too.
No, this is my passion because I can't leave my family. I enjoy reading with you all. Yeah, I really like this 19 number group.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes.
And it is because of you that we have developed this family out here.
No, because of y'all who all came and told ki we want to read the book. Initially, we used to listen to the podcast and I used to read along with the podcast. So when y'all said, no, we want to read, and that is your initiative and your excitement that brought us to this book reading actually. So rather, I should be thanking y'all.
That makes us, a bit alert and, the reading skills and everything. It's good for every one of us.
Yes.
And but we are even improving our reading too.
Actually, we are reading. Agar time milta hai na, to just kabhi bhi 10-15 minutes ka just put on the podcast and read along with the podcast. It will give you that nice rhythm of reading actually.
Okay.
Yes.
So
I had tried that with persistence. It was like really it improves everything, whatever is there. Sometimes we miss out on certain words. So we get a grip of that as well over there.
Yes, actually that thing happens. Yeah. So nice. And the thing is, I'm so happy that at least 10, 12 people are coming now. Initially, we used to be only 3-4 for 3-4 months. I mean, seeing 10 people, it's really very good feeling.
Yeah. People are really taking efforts and making to come on time at least.
Yes.
Anywhere they are, even though they are traveling or they are stuck up in something, but they make effort to come and join.
Yes, the credit goes to Samiran Ghosh because he has put up this his Zoom link. Because my Zoom link used to be very short, 40 minutes ka tha, and I used to miss most of the reading. Samiran Ghosh came and a lot of changes have come for that thing.
Absolutely, sir. Wherever he's traveling also, he makes sure that, he's there beforehand, before time to let everyone in.
So nice.
And this persistent chapter, I think everyone has started with persistent chapter only, and after that, everyone is persistent.
Yes, actually.
Yes, nice. So nice meeting you all. I'll take your leave now. Good night. Thank you so much.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.